Okay, now let's look at some examples with distributive property involved. And what you're going to find with these is these two examples are going to cover a lot of the ground that we've talked about leading up to this point. So it's kind of putting everything together into sort of a couple of messier problems, all right? So they're super messy, but they're a little messy. All right, so this first one, when you have distributive property, right, whenever you have, I'm getting ahead of myself here, whenever you have parentheses and you're trying to solve anything, you have to get rid of the parentheses. So that means that the very first thing you should do is get rid of them by using the distributive property. So, excuse me, I'm going to take 2 and multiply it by both of the items inside that parentheses. So 2 times negative 3m is going to give me negative 6m. And then I have 2 times negative 5 is going to give me negative 10. And then we have greater than or equal to negative 28. Now, with doing this, the next thing we're going to do is nothing different, right? We're going to try and get that negative 6m by itself. So let's move that 10 over to the other side by doing the opposite to it. Let's add it. So you should get negative 6m is greater than or equal to negative 18. And now, to get m by itself, we've got to divide by a negative number, by negative 6. And because we're dividing by a negative number, we're doing the same thing to the other side, we got to turn that sign around. So my answer, I'm going to get m is now less than or equal to 3. And we can check that really easily by putting 0 in for m. So let's do negative 3 times 0. I'll just use a dot operator there. Greater than or equal to negative 28. Well, this becomes 0 right there. And you have 2 times negative 5, which is negative 10. And negative 10 is definitely greater than negative 28. That makes this a true statement that we've checked. And we're in good shape. So with number 13, there's one little thing that makes this a little tricky. I've been telling you that when you multiply and divide by negative numbers, you have to turn the sign. But that is when you are doing the same thing to both sides. So it's usually when you're kind of trying to get a coefficient or something, or simplifying it in a way. What we're going to do here, by multiplying out and using distributive property, I do not have to flip anything yet. So even though I'm multiplying by a negative number, it's kind of already over there, and it doesn't really affect the other side. So in this case, you still keep the sign going the way it is. So I go negative 6 times w, negative 6w, negative 6 times positive 1 is negative 6. And then this gives you over here 2w plus 10. Okay, so now I've gotten everything where I want it. Now, just for the sake of simplicity, and because we're kind of used to having the variable on the left side, we're going to move the other variable over to the left side. So I'm going to subtract negative 2w, even though there's clearly more of the variable on the right side than on the left side. But I'm going to break rank and do it a little differently this time, just so we can get a little more practice with this. So your w's go away on the right side, and then you get negative 8w minus 6 is less than or equal to 10. I'm going to add 6 to both sides to get this term with the variable by itself. So that's going to give me negative 8w minus 16. And then I'll divide by negative 8. And now, because I'm dividing by negative 8, my answer is going to involve turning that sign around. So I flip the sign, and I get w is greater than or equal to negative 2. Nicely enough, 0 works in that solution set. So let's try this with 0. And that's the thing, is whenever you do these, if you're not sure, if you forgot to flip something or do that, just see it through to the end and then plug it in and see if it works. All right? So I have negative 6 times, well, 0 plus 1 is 1. So negative 6 times 1 is negative 6. And then 0 plus 5 is 5, right? And then 2 times 5 is 10. So negative 6 is less than negative 10. So that means that my answer is holding up. All right? And I think just as long as you understand that the reason when I multiplied negative 6 by w plus 1, I didn't flip the sign is because I wasn't multiplying it like across the entire inequality. I was just doing it on one side. That's different. You can do that and then it doesn't impact anything because it's still the same statement. It's just another way of writing it. So I hope this is helpful to you, and good luck with these. I believe there's one more video to go over, and that is on writing inequalities.